Thanks for clicking on the video. My name is Ramon, and today I'm going to show you the easiest way to put line on your spinning reel. So if you're watching this video, you're probably putting line on your reel for the first time, or you haven't done it in a long time and you just want a quick refresher. I'm gonna walk you through the easiest way that I learned how to put line on my reel. First thing you wanna do is set up your line in the proper position. You wanna set up your line in a way that as you're reeling it, it is going on your reel the way it naturally comes off, so that way when you do open your bail, your line just doesn't go everywhere. A tip is you want your line going counterclockwise so it goes on your reel and comes off in the right motion. So what you need to do is you take your line. I have 10-pound mono here. Take your line and you find out which way it's coming up. Sometimes it's labeled up, but for this one, it's actually labeled down. And you can see here that the line comes off counterclockwise. So that's your first step. Once you do that, you see it just comes off naturally, and that's the way it's gonna come off of your reel. The next step is you're gonna need two hands, so you gotta figure out how to hold this in your hand properly. You do wanna have your reel on the rod. That makes it the easiest way. There are tons of tools that you can buy out there, but honestly, if you're just trying to get started, you don't need it. All you need to do is put your reel on the rod. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna hold it in between your legs. You're gonna tuck it right here in between your legs, and you're gonna wanna get your line and run it through the first guide. And once you do that, you're basically in a good position to put your line on your reel. You got both your hands available to you, the rod is being held, and your reel is perfectly right where you can see it and work on it. So first step that you want to do is you want to open your bail. The last thing you want is to tie your line to your reel and you have your bail closed the entire time. You start reeling, you're not catching any line. So you make sure your bail is open, and then you're going to want to take your line and you want a good amount of tag end, because what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your line 2 or 3 times around the spool. Now, you still have some tag end left over, and the next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a nice little overhand knot. Same knot you do when you tie your shoes, but you're going to want to go in twice. So you're going to want to wrap that line around there twice. And then you're going to want to cinch it down real tight, just like that. And then you're going to want to do 2 more. Now, right now the line's real loose. Once you do the next 2, that's when the line's gonna get tight. And you can use this method on mono, on fluorocarbon, and on braid. So there's the second one, and again, pull it real tight, and we're gonna go 1 more. And there you have a good line. That thing's not gonna come off. Your next step is you're gonna wanna clip your tag end right here. I have some little scissors. You can use some nail clippers. You can use a knife, whatever you have. This is the easiest for me. Nail clippers are probably the second best. But once you have that line, you wanna clip it as close as you can, but not too close that you know when it tightens down, that it's gonna pull the knot out. So once you do that, you just flip your bail over. So the next step is you wanna make sure that you adjust your tension. Generally, mono and fluoro have a ton of memory in them. You can kind of see it here where the line's all wavy. You don't really have to worry about this with braid. But with mono and fluoro, you do have to pay attention to that. So what I like to do is I grab just right underneath the guide here, apply some pressure and a little bit of tension, and slowly start spooling my line up. Before you do this, if you want to secure the line a little better, you can put like some electrical tape or something like that on it. But what I found with mono is that you don't necessarily need it. It does bite on the reel pretty well. It does bite on itself. Now, if you were to put braid on a spinning reel, I would suggest you do put a mono backing on it, because what I found is in colder temperatures, like freezing temperatures or below freezing temperatures, that braid will slip on the reel itself. I've actually had that happen to me, and it feels like you have no drag. So put a little bit of mono backing, and you don't really need that much. In fact, this would be, what I have on here now would be too much mono backing. You just want enough to cover the reel like a few times, all the way up and down. That way, when you do go to reel, it has something to bite on and it's not slipping off of your spool or on your spool. And you're just, from here, you're just gonna wanna do steady reeling motion. So once you have some line on here, you can start speeding it up a little bit, but you just wanna make sure that your line's not kinking up on you. If you have a newer spool, that's not really an issue. But if you're using an older spool that you've had lying around and you're not really sure if you've kept it in like a moisture-proof box or whatever, then that might be an issue. Again, one thing that you want to take note is you don't want any of your line building or kinking up. So that's the whole point of me pinching it here as well. Not only am I adding tension, but I'm also making sure that if the line does fold over on itself, I catch it, and before it kinks up, I can unfold it. So we're getting close to about full here. Some reels do have little markers on them. I just kind of eyeball it, and I want like about 1/8, maybe 1/4 of an inch left over from the top. If you don't have enough line, if you don't have enough line on your reel, when you go to cast it, it'll catch on this lip right here. So you want to make sure you do have enough line so you can get as much casting distance as possible. Now, if you have a hook keeper, make sure you readjust that drag. If you have a hook keeper, tie your hook here. You just spool that up and you're good to go. That's how you put line on your reel.